Okay, so this is an essay a student has recently shared with me, and I would like to discuss a few mistakes in this essay. Um, though many of them are self-explanatory and do not require much elaboration, I would still like to point out a few things. The first is here. So, what is the difference between talking and to talk? And if you want to really understand the context of this question, just go to this place. Okay, so I've given a link to this article just below this video. You can click on it and go to this page. So the student has used talking over here instead of to talk, and I've changed it from talking to talk. The same mistake is repeated at one more place here. Talking to talk. Why did I change this? Well, this is for a simple reason. Whenever you use to in your answer, to plus infinitive form of a verb, it means this is expected in future. Expected in future. So what this means is that there is an assumption. Let us begin over here. There's an assumption that ex-prisoners are the best ones talking about the drawbacks. They are the best ones to talk about the drawbacks. This will happen in future. So you are assuming that they are the best and they will talk in the future. They're not doing it right now. For example, if I write a sentence, I have agreed to help. Now, you can't say I've agreed helping because the action to help will be in the future. You have agreed, this is in the present, but to help is in the future. The same concept applies over here. Secondly, let me change the color. Secondly, you need to understand that sometimes the things need to be kept really simple. They should not be complex. If you make them complex, you may lose the exact meaning of your statement. So do not make them complex. I'm not saying not compound. Compound sentences are different from complex structuring. Now this is a sentence structuring problem, okay? For example, let us look at two things. For example, number one, and we'll look at, yeah, here it is. Number two, let's come to this. It is an absolute truth in my opinion. So this is fine. There's nothing wrong in it. It's an absolute truth in my opinion, since that's fine. But a simpler and an equally effective, or rather I would say a more effective way is simply writing I strongly support this. This is a simple way of saying, okay, I agree with this. Okay, you have said the same thing. I agree with this, and this is a more simple and clear way to do this. Now let us read this part. The student writes, from a psychological standpoint, the ex-prisoner is talking about consequences of crimes. I'll talk about this as well. Consequences of crimes is the best deterrent in committing crimes in teenagers. Now this is weird. This is very, very weird. So whenever you use the word deterrent, the right preposition with that is to. It is a deterrent to do something. Okay, but here you have used in, which is wrong, and you can't say committing crimes in teenagers. So this thing can be simplified by simply replacing deterrent with debtors. Okay, so consequences of crimes, the ex-prisoner is talking about consequences of crimes, debtors youngsters from committing crimes, or something like that. Okay, so I've just given an option with debtors. Okay, try to simplify the thing. This will simplify. And you can also find ways of omitting this committing crimes because you have already used the word crimes. So, but that's not the point here. The point is that you can simplify the construction, and this will make your sentence structuring very clear. I'm sorry, very clear, okay? So sentence structuring involves using the right words. You will realize it's an absolute truth, that's fine, but it's a bit complex. You are not communicating the idea very clearly. And similarly over here, it can be conveyed in a more clear manner. Now, let me change the color again. Yeah. You will realize that there is a parallelism mistake over here. I strongly support this since prisoners can talk about, two things. They can talk about two things. Number one is the consequences. So the first word of X, just read the article on rules of parallelism on my website. So the consequences, the first word is the consequences. And so they can talk about two things, X and Y. So what is X? The consequences. And what is Y? Limitations. That's incorrect. You have to use a word from the same category. So here it's an article. Here it has to be an article. The limitations in teenagers' lives. And let us talk about another, quickly, let's talk about another sentence structuring mistake. And it is over here, number 2. And this is a very serious mistake. You're most probably you all are aware of the concept of modifiers. Modifiers are clauses that give additional information about a noun. So modifiers are always placed next to the noun they modify. For example, if I talk about a king who is 6 feet tall is a great administrator. Okay, so in that case, let me write over here. Yeah, king who is 6 feet tall is a great administrator. Is a great administrator. Let me stop over here. So king who is 6 feet tall. This is a modifier because it gives additional information about the king. Okay, so modifier always gives additional information about the noun it is connected to. The situation is a bit weird over here because the statement says, furthermore, by talking about the severe punishments kids may understand. It seems as if kids are talking about, severe punishment. So the kids are certainly not talking about severe punishment. The criminals or the ex-prisoners over here, they are talking about crimes. They're talking about severe punishments. Kids are perhaps they're listening very attentively. So that's what I've done over here. I've changed the structure. Furthermore, by listening to the first-hand accounts of severe punishments, kids. So kids are doing the work of listening. That's correct. That's logically correct. They're not talking, they're listening. And the kids, during this process of listening, they may understand, or through this process of listening, they may understand, and the sentence continues. Okay. So this was another sentence structure mistake. So you must have realized by now that while some sentence structures are incorrect, this is incorrect. Other sentence structures, and this was also incorrect. Other sentence structures like this one, they can be simplified. They can be more clearly communicated. Similarly, number 3. Let me change here. Number 3. This is also a sentence structuring issue, and I've explained it over here. Number 3, it's a wrong connecting device. There is no contrast or there is no simultaneous activity going on that necessitates the use of while. So it's better to use and still there's a better sentence structuring available, and I have discussed it over here. Okay, just go through it. Okay, and again there's lexical resource issue. Before that there's a parallelism issue, there's a violation of parallelism, and this is a grammar issue, as I have discussed earlier as well. So so the first word of X, Y, and Z. So the first word of X is, for instance, the prisoners are deprived of seeing. They're deprived of 3 things. They're deprived of 3 things. Number 1 is seeing. Number 2 is using. And number 3 is finding. Okay, they're deprived of 3 things. Structurally, it has to be this way, the 3 verbs. Other than that, there's a lexical resource issue, and I think it's very clear. Okay, so these were a few points that I wanted to discuss. I hope it was useful. Follow this YouTube channel and keep coming back for more interesting stuff. Thank you for watching.